covering UFC events for almost 5 years now, maybe 6. And I can't stress enough, this is the biggest weekend of all. And I had to sit back and contemplate because I grew up a fight fan. Roy Jones Jr., Mike Tyson, right? Big time boxing fan back in the day until it got worse and worse and worse to where it is now. It's fragmented. But I had to look back and say, I mean, all those fights I've watched, because I was a huge Roy Jones Jr. fan. Huge. Is this the biggest fight ever? And the answer is yes. This is it. This is the biggest fight ever. Because this is the first time in my life where I really followed a guy, not from the beginning, but at least from the beginning of him entering the UFC. And the first time I saw him fight, I said, this guy is different, man. This guy is built different. He's going to be a champion. And it took us 5 years to get here. And why? Right? This is a guy that in 2020 fought 3 times, including 2 fights, 10 days apart, dominated both opponents, then continued to fight, relatively often in 2021, 2022, and you consider you're going through the pandemic at this point, he's still fighting. So why did it take 5 years to get to this point? That's the question. Why did it take 5 years to get to this point? Okay, so after the 3 fights in 2020, Khamzat then fought Li Jingliang in 2021, submitted him in 3 minutes. Then fought Gilbert Burns. That took 3 rounds. He was no longer really a welterweight at that time. That was clear, but got the victory. Then fought Kevin Holland for the last time in America on September 10th, 2022. Submitted him in 2 minutes. Then we haven't seen him in America for 3 years. He beat Usman in Abu Dhabi at UFC 294, majority decision. You remember he took him down for the entire round in the first round, and then believe he hurt his hand, and then the fight kind of switched at that point, and you didn't see Khamzat really throw too much, but Usman either. Usman only landed 36 significant strikes. People forget that. Khamzat took him down 4 times. Then we don't see Khamzat for another year, right? He's supposed to fight Robert Whittaker. He gets sick. Robert Whittaker beats Ikram Aliskerov in like 2 minutes, KOs him. Khamzat finally gets better, fights Robert Whittaker, and beats him in about 3 minutes, 34 seconds by submission, which is crazy when you think about it. That's a former champ. Robert Whittaker came back and nearly won a 5-round fight against Rainier de Ridder. So the reason we haven't seen Khamzat fight too much, and the reason that it's taken this long to get here, is because after his fight at UFC 279, again in September of 2022, just shy of 3 years ago, all of a sudden his US visa was denied because he had a friend that was a leader of another country, if you can even say it's a friend, an acquaintance. And then boom, his US visa is denied. This is during the Biden administration, by the way. And we're not going to go too far into this, but it's got to be known. So meanwhile, the border's wide open. But our favorite fighter, and I say our because there's a lot of you that are diehard Chimaev fans, our favorite fighter can't get in the country, even though like 18 million people or however many pour into the country. It's just ridiculous. So that derailed him for the last 3 years and hurt him from moving his way up. And then you consider all the advantages you have in America, from the training to recovery, and he's getting sick leading up to some of these fights, and it's just been a rough 3 years. Well, now it seems like they're training him different, they're preparing him better, he's getting more rest. He's at least fighting at middleweight now, so the weight cut isn't too strenuous. And now, 3 years later, of course, President Trump gets into office, and now, thankfully, that President Trump and Dana White have a good relationship. Khamzat Chimaev gets his visa, and we're getting to see this big middleweight showdown that should have really happened 3 years ago. So, yeah, you have to credit Donald Trump, President Trump, for making this happen. It's the bottom line, because if And Khamzat has said it, that he has a better chance of getting into the country if Trump wins versus Kamala Harris. If Biden would have ran again, considering that things were different, he was fully healthy and all that, Khamzat would not be fighting in Chicago this weekend, and this fight will probably be delayed another 2 years or more. And according to the BBC, Chimaev credits Trump for return to the United States, saying, everyone knows I didn't have the visa to travel to the U.S. That's why I didn't fight only once or twice in Abu Dhabi. So now Donald Trump is here. We go for a fight. That's the bottom line. And thankfully, that's the way it played out. Will Trump be at UFC 319? I'd say there's a 95% chance, unless there's some type of a, problem to where he can't go. And there's no American fighting in the title fight, right? You got South Africa versus Khamzat Chimaev, basically. So two guys that are from different parts of the world. And I still think Trump shows up because this is that fight. The magnitude of this fight is just huge.